welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something pretty exciting, looking months ahead, trying to get a feel for winter 2025-2026.
Yeah, and the signals, well, they're pointing towards something potentially quite significant. Colder, maybe snowier for large parts of the Northern Hemisphere.
Exactly. And the star player in this forecast seems to be something called the quasi-biennial oscillation, the QBO.
That's the one.
People are calling it the atmosphere's pacemaker. It seems to be sending some strong signals right now.
Very strong signals, yes.
So our mission today, let's unpack this. What is this high-altitude wind pattern? How does it connect down here to, our weather? And crucially, what might it mean for your winter coming up?
Okay, let's dive in. The QBO, it stands for quasi-biennial oscillation. It's basically this regular switch back and forth of winds high up in the stratosphere. We're talking like 20 miles above the equator.
20 miles up. Wow.
Yeah, and these winds, east or west, they slowly drift downwards. The whole cycle back to where it started takes around 28, maybe 29 months. And the key thing for this upcoming winter, 2025-2026, is that we're very confidently heading into, or are already in, what's called the easterly phase.
Easterly phase.
Yeah.
Got it. So why is that easterly phase such a big deal? How does that, affect things down here?
Right. Well, it connects directly to the stratospheric polar vortex. You've probably heard of that.
Yeah, the big massive cold air over the pole.
Exactly. Think of it like a giant wall, way up high, holding back the really frigid Arctic air. Now, an easterly QBO, it tends to weaken that wall.
Like putting cracks in a dam.
That's a perfect analogy. It makes the vortex weaker, more unstable, more likely to sort of wobble or even break down.
Okay.
And when that happens, that cold air, which is normally locked up over the Arctic, can spill southwards. It also makes the jet stream at the surface the river of air that steers our weather much wavier.
And a wavier jet stream means more extremes, right?
Yeah.
More potential for cold outbreaks.
Precisely. It leads to these specific regional impacts. We see a much higher risk of severe cold snaps and potentially more snow than usual, particularly across, say, eastern North America and parts of northern and western Europe.
Okay, so it's not like the whole globe freezes over, but specific areas really feel it.
Correct. It focuses the impact.
Now, is the QBO acting alone here? Or is it more like one part of a bigger atmospheric picture, like other things have to line up too?
That's a great question. It's definitely part of a bigger symphony, as you put it. The QBO is powerful, but its influence can absolutely be amplified or sometimes dampened by other climate drivers.
So what else is lining up for this winter?
Well, right now, forecasts lean towards either ENSO neutral conditions or maybe a weak La Niña in the Pacific.
Okay, and those are?
Those are phases of the El Niño southern oscillation. Importantly, both neutral and La Niña tend to favor a weaker polar vortex, or at least they don't strengthen it like a strong El Niño might. So that supports the QBO signal.
Right, so they're working with the QBO effect.
Exactly. And another factor is Arctic sea ice. Current observations show pretty low sea ice in key areas like the Barents and Kara Seas north of Scandinavia and Russia. Low sea ice there also tends to encourage a weaker vortex and help push cold air southwards. So yes, we have a critical alignment shaping up.
Can we look back at history? Are there past winters where this kind of setup played out?
Oh, definitely. A really powerful example is the winter of 2009-2010. We had a strong easterly QBO then, major polar vortex disruption.
Remember that winter? Wasn't that Snowmageddon in the U.S.?
That's the one. Record cold, massive snowstorms in parts of the U.S. And Europe also saw unusually cold and snowy conditions. And interestingly, that happened despite an El Niño, which normally means milder winters for some of those areas. The QBO and vortex disruption basically overrode it.
Wow.
But it's not always a slam dunk. Take 1991, 1992, also an easterly QBO, but
Wow.
Mount Pinatubo erupted. Huge volcanic eruption. The aerosol shot into the stratosphere actually strengthened the polar vortex, counteracting the QBO effect. That winter ended up being much milder in many places.
Okay, so that's a really important point. Unforeseen events, like a major volcano, can change the game.
Absolutely. It adds a layer of uncertainty, always.
But for this coming winter, 2025-2026, we don't see a Pinatubo on the horizon, presumably.
Right. As things stand, there's no major opposing force like that visible. So putting it together, we have very high confidence in the easterly QBO. We have ENSO and sea ice conditions looking supportive. Long-range models are pretty consistent.
So the conclusion is?
The conclusion is there's a significantly elevated risk, I'd say, for prolonged cold and snowy periods in those vulnerable spots, eastern North America, northern Western Europe. It's probabilistic, remember, not a guarantee everywhere, but the odds are definitely tilted.
Okay. So for you listening, what's the main takeaway? We can't predict specific storms months out, obviously.
No, not at all.
But this deep dive shows a strong probability, a higher chance than usual for a winter that's, well, disrupted.
Yeah.
Potentially quite a bit colder and snowier for many people in those regions we mentioned.
That's the key message. Increased odds.
So a practical tip. What should people watch as winter gets closer?
Definitely keep an eye on the shorter-term indices, like the Arctic Oscillation, the AO, and the North Atlantic Oscillation, the NAO. They track pressure patterns more immediately and give you clues about whether that cold air is actually making a move south.
Right, those give you the real-time situation.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, it's pretty incredible, isn't it, how these rhythms happening miles above the equator can actually shape the winter you experience. Gives us amazing foresight.
It really does highlight how interconnected the whole atmosphere is.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for breaking that down for us. Maybe don't put those snow shovels too far back in the garage this year.
Might be wise advice for some.